In all four Gospels, it is the women friends and followers of Jesus who bravely go to his tomb to mourn and to be at his graveside, even though he was executed as a criminal and military guards were stationed there to protect the tomb. In all four Gospels, it is to these women that Jesus first appears. The angel and Jesus tell the women to announce to his brothers that he has been raised, and they are to go back to Galilee, because that's where their discipleship began, and there they will see him. And in subsequent gospel accounts, they indeed see and encounter Jesus risen from the dead. Each year, the celebration of Easter gives us an opportunity to go back to where it all began for us. For the women and men of the Gospels, it was Galilee. For us, it is our baptism. In the letter to the Colossians, Paul reminds the community in baptismal language, saying, "For you have died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. When Christ your life appears, then you too will appear with him in glory." No matter what has transpired in our lives this past year, whatever trials, hardships, or joys, we go back to where it began for us, our baptism into the very life of God, into the saving death and resurrection of Jesus. And in renewing our baptism, we find forgiveness, mercy, and new life. Yet, of course, we know this Easter is different. In this week's email from World in Prayer, there was a sobering insight. It said, and I quote, "This journey through Holy Week is a journey of discovery in a totally unfamiliar world, at least for most of us. Now we experience what those on the margins, those with severe disabilities or illness, the migrant, the refugee, the homeless, the poor, the jobless, the voiceless, the powerless, victims of violence, those with mental illness, all experience as their normality, uncertainty, fear, lack of food, money, without access to basic necessities, and for too many, health care, clean water, and sanitation." End of quote. That is an unnerving truth. Many of us are experiencing what many on the margins always experience. So it is even more important to get back to our baptism. What does it mean? Who am I in the life of God? And through that life in God, what is my relationship to every human being? What am I finding out in the situation of social distancing, isolation, anxiety, and suffering about what is most important in life and what isn't? What do I need to let go of in my life? What do you and I need to die to in order to experience true resurrected life? I propose that at the foundation of the renewal of our baptism is love. God is love. Our lives during this worldwide pandemic need to be grounded in love. And love is shown in deeds, not words. So first, let us nurture our life, our union with God in prayer, and in a willingness to let go of sin, useless concerns, and self-centered actions. Let's allow ourselves to be transformed into loving, compassionate, generous, faithful, and joyful children and adults who live for others. God is the source because God is love. We, a community of faith, are called to help one another grow into this kind of human being, a true reflection of Christ. We are blessed to see that kind of human being in the stories of men, women, and young who are heroic, selfless, and generous. Healthcare workers, responders, store clerks of essential services, law enforcement officers, food pantry workers, and so many people who are selflessly and creatively reaching out in service to others. Just whether they're Christians or not. They are examples of baptismal living. They are dying to self and thereby bringing new resurrected life through loving service to others. For sure, even with these heroic examples, we know sin and death still abound. But love moves on. Love conquers, and love never dies, because Jesus Christ is risen from the dead.